Welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, and we have some updates into the mind of Tom Fitzgerald during his big game hunting. Yes, my friends, Tommy Boy is in Buffalo for the Combine and some prospect stuff, looking at some of the highly ranked players heading into the draft, and we have two articles with some juicy quotes courtesy of Mike Morreale from NHL.com, as well as Pierre LeBrun from The Athletic. Both caught up with Tom Fitzgerald today. We have some juicy quotes, and I'm not going to lie, guys, overall, from what I've been reading, I'm liking what I'm hearing. Now, saying and doing are obviously two wildly very different things, but if Tom Fitzgerald is going to maneuver the way it seems like he is with these quotes, I, for one, am excited for the offseason. You guys should be too. And let's break it down a little bit here. We get into the first article from Mike Morreale from NHL.com. Headline, Devils open to trading number 10 pick in 2024 NHL Draft looking for a goalie. Then we have the little subtitle of GM hopes to upgrade after New Jersey allowed 3.43 goals per game this season, missed playoffs. We all know the goaltending has been atrocious, and it's time to finally fix it. Fitzgerald took a lot of flack for not getting a goalie before trade deadline day last season. He will not make that mistake again. And so we get into the article here. The New Jersey Devils are willing to trade the number 10 pick in the 2024 Upper Deck NHL Draft for the right price. And in quotes by Fitzy, if we feel it helps us now and in the foreseeable future, then yes, I'm listening. New Jersey General Manager Tom Fitzgerald told NHL.com on Monday during a break from interviews of the NHL Scouting Combine. I haven't gotten anything yet, but the more I talk to teams, I say, listen, I'm open to moving the number 10, but it's going to take something significant. I mean, you know, it's what you would expect from a GM. He's open to talk shop. The pick is available, but he doesn't want to get fleeced. It has to be something significant. Obviously, I agree with that. As you all know, I've openly said I wanted to trade the pick, and I have no interest in drafting with it for weeks now. We get on with the next portion of the article. The Devils have 6 picks in the 2024 draft, including the number 10 selection and 2 third-round picks. They traded their second-round pick as part of the compensation to the San Jose Sharks when they acquired forward Timo Meier on February 26, 2023. Love the trade. Timo's going to have a monster season for us next year. Get excited. Timo time is coming in hot and heavy next season. You heard it here first. At the end of the day, we're in a position now versus 2 years ago when we drafted Shimo Nemitz, where if we could find the right piece to help us get to where we want to go to today, tomorrow, and wherever the controllable future is for that player, great, Fitzgerald said. That's the mindset versus great. We have a top 10 pick, and this kid is going to be fantastic when he's 25 years old. There's no question the Devils are in win-now mode. They failed to qualify for the Stanley Cup playoffs for the 10th time in 12 seasons after ending the 22-23 regular season with the most wins, 52, and points, 112 in franchise history. So there's a little bit to unpack here. Obviously, this is a little bit different now. Again, as they said, when we drafted Nemitz, we weren't quite where we needed to be. Now that we had that playoff run, some of the core guys are a little bit older. It is time to take that next step. And I'm glad that LeBrun said there's no question the Devils are in win-now mode. I've been telling you guys for months, the time to win is now. I'm tired of hearing about how young we are, how the future is bright, the window's just opening. I'm tired with all of that. We truly should be in win-now mode. We had our franchise record season. We have our core in place. Now it's time to tinker and push us over the hump. And I think the Devils could be on the verge of doing that if Fitzgerald does the right moves. But I'm glad that LeBrun says they're in win-now mode. I mean, that's what you want to hear. I'm tired of hearing about the future. And maybe, you know, this is going to be the first offseason to kind of springboard us to that next level that we're trying to get to. The article continues. This has got to be that season where we take that step year in, year out to consistently be banging on the door, Fitzgerald said. It has to be. Everybody, including myself, the players, the staff, we've got to look in the mirror and say, what's going on here? I think you're going to see a very motivated group. You know, and that's all the stuff you want to hear. Hungry to win, let's get better, yada, yada, pom-poms out, rah-rah, and let's get it done. Article continues. Fitzgerald checked off the first item on his offseason to-do list when he hired Sheldon Keefe as the 22nd coach in Devils history on May 23rd. Keefe, who was hired by the Toronto Maple Leafs on May 9th, is expected to join Fitzgerald and the rest of the Devils managerial team Wednesday at the Combine, which runs through Saturday. I think Sheldon is going to inject a lot of jump, a lot of change. It's a different voice, Fitzgerald said. He got Toronto into the playoffs each of the 5 seasons he was there. Look, I don't want to put the cart before the horse. Let's be a perennial playoff contender, and then we'll figure it out. I do like that Sheldon Keefe is accompanying him to the Combine. I think as many voices and ideas you could get in a room regarding drafting players, personnel, decisions, things of that nature. I always like the more the merrier, in my opinion. I always like kind of a group situation to approach that, and I think Keefe is obviously a guy that, has a pretty good insight on the game, and he could definitely be valuable to Fitz in telling him observations or things that he sees at the combine about one of these guys that we may end up drafting. Hopefully not. Hopefully we do trade the pick, but I do like that Keefe will be involved with this. And it was also mentioned when Keefe was introduced in the press conference that he is going to be involved with some of the free agency talk as well. So I do like that we kind of have a committee situation going on here. Article continues. Fitzgerald was very clear that in order to become a consistent playoff qualifier, however, he needs to upgrade the goalie position. The Devils allowed 3.43 goals per game, tied for 26th in the league. Ouch. And Jake Allen is the only one of the 5 goalies to play for them this season who was under contract for 24-25. Since being hired as the full-time GM in July 2020, Fitzgerald has seen 12 different goalies play at least one game. 2 of them, Vitek Vanacek, Mackenzie Blackwood, have played 80-plus games, and 2 others, Nico Daws, Akira Schmid, have totaled at least 40. And that's the tail of the tape there. It's not even, we're a few weeks shy of Fitz being here for 4 calendar years, hired in July 2020, and we've had 12 different goalies play a game. I mean, that's psychotic. I mean, come on. That just shows no stability. I've talked about this for months as well. I've showed a graphic of all the goalies we had in the organization over the years, and it's kind of crazy. The fact that we still haven't had someone who could stick. Obviously, Vitek Vanacek didn't work out. He was kind of a budget play by Fitz. It didn't pan out. Obviously, and Mackenzie Blackwood, for a while, me and a couple of my buddies, including Steve the Maniac, were convinced that Mackenzie Blackwood could be the future. He had those games where he just looked completely amazing, looked like he was the franchise goalie that we were all hoping he was going to be. And then there'd be games where he would just get lit up completely, give up like 5 goals on 12 shots, something terrible, and just look like a guy that didn't look like the goalie we saw the week before. Very inconsistent for Blackwood. I think injuries really kind of were the cherry on top for him. And, now he's on a horrible San Jose team. It's an unfortunate situation for Blackwood. It didn't work out here, but I do think those injuries really did hurt him. Article continues. With Fitz, I'm in the goalie market talking to teams, but there's a but, and the but is how do we want to build our team, Fitzgerald said. We'd like to add up front. We'd like to add on the back end. So what are those pieces going to cost us? With the goaltending, what's that going to cost us? Does the number 10 pick get you that type of player that you can add to the group? It's easy to say, go get so-and-so, and then you build from there. But there are some guys who have different contracts, so how are those players going to reprice that? There's a lot to it, but yes, the focus is on finding that goaltender. So again, Fitzgerald just kind of reconfirming to everyone he is in the goalie market looking to upgrade our goaltending. And here he's also saying he would like to add up front into the back end, which I believe this is the first time on record we've specifically heard now from the mouth of Tom Fitzgerald. Confirmation as far as I'm concerned that with the goalie we already knew. That was a given. So he is looking for a goalie. He said he'd like to add up front. So okay, so now we're at least in play for a forward, which we all wanted. And on the back end. So at a minimum, bare minimum, guys, bare minimum, it seems as though Tom Fitzgerald is going to try to get us 3 pieces in this offseason, a goalie, a defenseman, and a forward, which I think is a great start. In an ideal world, I'd love to see a goalie, 2 defensemen, and 2 forwards, but a goalie and 1 each forward and defenseman is a good start. And I've said on a previous episode here, if we could get 2 defensemen or 2 forwards and then one of the other with the goalie be 4 total players, I think that would be even better. But, there's only so much you could do realistically in one offseason, but it would be quite the overhaul if he could pull it off. But that is confirmation that we should see all 3 areas addressed by Tom Fitzgerald one way or another in this offseason. Fitzgerald said he'll sit with Keefe to discuss team strengths, weaknesses, and where improvements are needed. Of course, we just talked about that. I mean, you could make the argument that everywhere could be improved. Obviously, nothing is perfect. We were far from last season. Let's see what we could do here in the summer. It would be really nice to bolster this lineup. Of course, one area of strength is the forward group, which included 5 players with at least 20 goals this season. Timo Meier with 28 goals, Jack Hughes 27, Jesper Bratt 27, Nico Hischier 27, Dawson Mercer 20. Tyler Toffoli scored 26 before being traded to the Winnipeg Jets on March 8th. And oof, that trade did not age well. It's unfortunate how that all played out. I know a lot of people are hoping Toffoli comes back. At this point, unless it was super, super team-friendly, for the amount of money he's going to make, I do think there are probably other players in free agency that would better fit what we're looking for at the time. And I love Tyler Toffoli. Absolutely love Tyler Toffoli. Still do. I think he's going to get a nice contract somewhere. Good for him. He did earn it. But I do think because of where he's at and what kind of money he's going to command, I personally can't see him returning to the Devils next season, but crazier things have happened. Then we talk about Jack Hughes. Hughes, who had shoulder surgery April 10th, is on schedule to be ready for training camp. The 23-year-old, who was the number 1 pick in the 2019 NHL Draft, had 74 points in 62 games this season. And just another one of our injured players. If Jack could have stayed healthy, a lot of what ifs. But last season was cursed. I'd like to get it out of my mind, go into the future. And then on Jack's recovery here, his range of motion is not completely full, but he's doing a lot of things off ice, Fitzgerald said. He's working out to gain strength, a lot of plyometrics. He's really excited and is looking forward to getting to the gym every day, getting stronger, and that's music to my ears. What's this kid going to be like when he puts on another 10 pounds of muscle? Another absolutely beautiful quote. Tom Fitzgerald realizing the need for the bulk, a little bit more size. We all know last season we got steamrolled, battered, smacked around by teams all season long, and it is painful. It is painful to see. Completely painful to see. I think Jack with another 10 or maybe 15, 20 pounds of muscle is going to be a different player. And once he can finally stay healthy when he has his man body, I do expect Hughes to contend for the next few seasons, assuming he's healthy, for the Hart Trophy, because when he is in the lineup and on his game, he is one of the most lethal players in the league, and I do think he will finally be in that conversation as the most valuable player in the league. I really do. I think he is kind of knocking on the doorstep of joining that elite group with Connor McDavid and those guys. He's right there. Just got to stay healthy and get those point totals up. But I do expect Jack. I think he has to win at least one Hart Trophy in his career. That'd be nice. That'd be a nice little thing for Jack to win. The article continues. Fitzgerald said he'll enjoy spending a few days in Buffalo at the Combine, speaking and listening to many of the top skaters and goalies eligible for the 2024 NHL Draft before diving into key solutions to those important questions over the summer. It's a tradition he's done each season. It's getting to know kids, see how they react to questions, he said. You get to see their personalities with how they answer. Are they rehearsed? There's a lot of value in being able to ask questions and being able to put the pieces together. But at the end of the day, they're 17, 18-year-old kids who are scouts are asked to project what they're going to be at 24, 25, 26 years old, and that's hard, but it's always a fun process. And there we have it. So when we talk about the kids of the draft, and this is the number one reason why I am screaming from the mountaintops, trade the damn number 10 pick, because I do believe we should be in win now mode anyway. And if we are in win now mode, it's time to get win now pieces. And as this little blurb here in the article tells you, he's talking about these kids that we would be drafting are 17, 18 years old, and he's talking about what they're going to be at 24, 25, 26. So you're talking about, the peaks of these kids being so far away, 6, 7, 8 years from their prime. Does that window truly align with, again, we're a very young team, but do the 17, 18-year-olds today truly align with the trajectory of a potential cup-winning team in New Jersey for the Devils with the core we have now? And, how old does that make Dougie Hamilton all these years down the line? Nico's getting older. Everyone's aging. I've said time and time again, the years go by very quick. Nucleuses age out. Guys leave in trade, free agency, whatever it may be. And these cores don't stick around forever. And so the time to win is now. And it does seem that Fitzgerald will be looking actively to trade the pick. I mean, that is the smart thing to do. We are a team that really wouldn't benefit from this pick in the window we really have. I do think this draft year it's a guy that's going to help us kind of for the next nucleus or part of this nucleus that continues on, but not the full group we have now as is. And this is the group you got to be focusing on. The pieces are there with the right other win now pieces, guys that can contribute day one and help us in the playoffs. Those are the guys we need to get. And that's how you go from having this pick, maybe packaging it up with some other players, picks, prospects, whatever it is, and you trade it for a win now piece. It seems as though Fitz is trying to do that, and hopefully he does, because that, to me, is the most valuable way to utilize that number 10 pick. It's not drafting with it. It's trading it for win now pieces, and hopefully he does that. So that was the first article from NHL.com. And this is from The Athletic with Pierre LeBrun. We see the title here, NHL Rumblings, Devils Goalie Search, Zegras, Marner, Natchez, Gibson, Saros, and more from the Combine. The New Jersey Devils made a splash with the Sheldon Keefe hire as head coach. Now it's time to address roster needs. The search for a number one goalie tops the list. That work continues here this week at the NHL Scouting Combine. It's talking to the market and getting the pulse of where people are at with their goaltenders and what they want to do, Devils general manager Tom Fitzgerald told The Athletic on Tuesday. When you have good goaltending, it's tough to let go, and it's tough to pry out of people. Again, this is just reference to what we all know. Fitz is out there. He's working the phones. He's working the laptop. and he's trying to figure out who he could get. But as he's saying here, we know it's not going to be an easy process, and a lot of teams are going to be involved looking for goalies. It is what it is. But goalie is certainly on the radar. And then we continue on with the article. But there are situations. I've got the pulse of what's going on. There are a few guys that I'm in on. And then LeBrun writes, while Fitzgerald wouldn't get into names, other league sources said he continues to show interest in Jacob Markstrom from the Calgary Flames, whom he tried to acquire before the March 8th trade deadline, as well as Linus Ullmark from the Boston Bruins. There are other possibilities too, but those two names would top New Jersey's list. My understanding is that Markstrom would waive his full no-move clause to go to New Jersey, but there are a few other teams with interest in Markstrom as well. And again, I've said for a few weeks now as well, I do believe it will be Markstrom. I mean, point blank. If you go back a few months ago, I think it was at something with the Stadium Series, some type of press event, a reporter was talking to Marty, and the great Martin Brodeur gave his list of his top 5 goalies, and I believe Markstrom was either 4 or 5. So obviously that showed to me that Markstrom was on Marty's radar for sure. And then there was the rumors from last season that Fitzgerald had a deal in place to bring Markstrom here from Calgary, but at the last minute, the Flames owner nixed the deal. And so Markstrom was probably pissed off about that, probably still is. In his head, he waived his no-move clause. He agreed to go to New Jersey. In his head, he was a Devil. It didn't play out that way. And so it seems like no matter what, Markstrom will be out of Calgary. Like I said, he basically in his head was already a Devil. And so it seems like that deal has already kind of been out there in the stratosphere. I think Fitzgerald finds a way to close it, hopefully at a much lesser price. I was more interested in Markstrom last season because I thought he would have saved our season and brought us to the playoffs. And now that season has come and gone, we obviously missed the playoffs, and now there's only 2 years remaining on Markstrom's deal. I am super interested in him as well. Hopefully the cost has come down significantly and does not involve our number 10 pick. I will tell you firsthand right now, I think the number 10 pick overall for Markstrom is complete lunacy. I really do. I have no interest in that. And, I mean, I don't think Ullmark's the guy either, guys. I know a lot of you are high on Ullmark, and maybe he could be. I mean, listen, he definitely would be an upgrade over going with Jake Allen and whoever else. But I just don't know that Ullmark is the guy for me. I'm very skittish on him and what he's going to make in future years. I just don't know. I won't be mad if we get him, but I'm not going to be over the moon. I do think Markstrom comes at a much cheaper asset cost, meaning it would just take less in trade to get him here. He's only signed for 2 more years. He could give us good to great play, I believe. And hopefully after that time is up, the next goalie of the future would be coming up through the ranks for the Devils in Akira Schmid, Nico Daws, or Isaac Poulter. But I know a lot of people kind of want that long-term fix right now, and I just don't know that we're going to get that because I do think Ullmark gives you that, but there's going to be a lot of guys in on him, and I think the price would be very high. Some people have asked me if I would rather Fitz do nothing for goalies or get ripped off. I don't think it has to be one of those two options. I do believe there is free agency routes where you could go and say, look, this might not be the guy we were targeting at the beginning, but it's not costing us anything in trade. And as far as their salary goes, it'll be less than some of these guys like Ullmark as well. So I do think there is, many different avenues this can take, but I don't see any world where it's like, oh, well, we tried and couldn't get any goalie unless we get ripped off, because there are goalies available in free agency. I've expressed interest in Brossoit. I know a lot of people are kind of iffy on him as well. I do think he had some decent seasons, especially last year, really strong in Winnipeg behind Hellebuck, and I think he could be a legit goalie for a team, and I think a lot of teams will probably be interested in him as well. His agent's phone will probably be busy, but if this Ullmark or Markstrom thing doesn't pan out, I would not be mad at seeing him here, and I'm sure his salary demands would not be that crazy. So that's another thing I'm going to get into in a deep dive goalie video in the next couple days, but I'm just going to go back to the article here. Points he was talking about. Yeah, Markstrom waived his full no move. So again, Markstrom seems to me to be the most likely and somewhat affordable goalie that we've been linked to. I just don't know what it would cost for him. I just can't see the number 10 pick. It just seems crazy to me. The article continues, the Devils have other roster needs too, so depending on the sequence of events this offseason, a goalie acquisition could be affected by other moves. At the end of the day, it's a big part of what we want to do elsewhere, Fitzgerald said. All of a sudden, the number 10 pick comes into play, and we're moving it for player X, who was a forward, and that guy costs X, and there's a domino effect on the goaltender. This, of all the articles today and all the quotes, this to me was the most telling, because when I break this down, this is what gets me excited, because it seems like he knows he needs a goalie. but he's not dead set on one, and he doesn't have a linear process, meaning I'm going to get this guy and then do this and then do that. It seems like what I think he should be doing is analyzing the entire chessboard, looking at the whole team and trying to make the best overall play he can for whatever position that may be, and then reassessing and then making his next moves from there. And so when he says, and he specifically says, if the number 10 pick is traded for player X who is a forward, that looks to me like the number 10 pick is not only in play for a goalie, but if the right forward comes along, Fitz might move that number 10 pick, and now that has an impact on how you approach the goalie situation. You obviously wouldn't have the number 10 pick anymore as a trade piece, and then you might turn to free agency instead of looking to make a trade for the goalie. So that was very exciting to me. Again, I don't want to beat on a dead horse, but you guys know I have never wanted a player more than I want Brady Tkachuk on this Devils team. You could watch all the Brady videos I've made. You guys know how I feel about him. I think he is one of the highest impact players you could get on a team, does everything everywhere, and I think he would really, improve the club overall. And so in a situation like this, let's just play hypothetical. If we were to trade the number 10 pick as part of a package for Brady Tkachuk, then obviously maybe you are better off going with a Brissois or somebody like that in free agency, which I wouldn't be mad at all. But it just confirmed to me that it seems like Fitz is open to a lot of different things, which I like to hear. And again, saying and doing are two very different things, but it seems like he has a very open mind, and he might be trying to take that big swing. Again, I will still keep my fingers crossed for eternity. I would love Brady Tkachuk. Ottawa swears up and down that it's not happening, so all you trolls, Steo said it's not happening. You're just making stuff up, as if GMs tell the truth 100% of the time. A lot of rumors, a lot of smoke around that. Who knows? But if it doesn't happen this summer, I do expect the Senators to miss the playoffs next season under Travis Green. And then at that point, I do believe Brady says, a little knock on Steos' door and says, get me the fuck out of here. I'm done. I've been riding here for now 7 years. We haven't made the playoffs. I'm watching my brother go on deep runs, maybe hoist the cup this summer. And that's going to be real motivation for Brady to get to a situation where he could play in playoff games in front of his whole family and a national television audience as well, because him watching it on TV or going to his brother's games in May and June is not going to sit well. And so I could only hope that was kind of a little window into, oh, God, guys, do you know how good it would be if we got him? My brain can't. The videos I would be making, I would be trolling hard in videos to all the people over the last few months. But we continue with the article. So, yes, the Devils are indeed willing to listen on number 10. Yeah, for sure, Fitzgerald said. I'm more than willing to move the pick for the right asset, one that we control, one that's probably in the same demographic as our team, maybe not 23, 24 years old, but someone we can control for a few years. Nothing's come my way yet, though. And now he's talking about, trading the pick for not a guy who you'd only have as a year rental, but a guy under control whose age fits in with the demographic of our core group. I mean, Brady Tkachuk, check. 4 more years on his deal as of right now. 4 more years under team control at a super friendly cap hit, and in the window age-wise with our guys we have now. I mean, wow. As I was reading this, I started to got the chills. I got the absolute chills. Can cousin Brady be coming to New Jersey? We could only hope, but nothing's come his way yet, though. We continue with the article. The Devils would like to add a little more size, edge, and physicality at forward. We're a little too vanilla up front, Fitzgerald said. And that's another one. Thank you. Been saying for months this Devils team is Charmin soft. We got smacked, run over, completely berated, embarrassed, and it was disgusting to watch. And so for Fitzgerald to publicly acknowledge this once again, I love to see it. There's a ton of guys in free agency that I think would bring that size, edge, and physicality up front. I'm going to do a whole video in the next few weeks about all my free agency wishes and things of that nature, so look out for that. But it's good to see Fitzgerald, talking about that as well. So it seems like on his menu, he's looking for goalie we know, toughness, and then he also mentioned the defenseman in the other article. So Fitz is trying to touch all 3 areas, guys. Goalie, defense, forwards, let's go. Let's get better. The article continues. And perhaps another piece on the blue line. I'm looking on the back end as well for something, he added. And then LeBrun writes, I wonder if pending unrestricted free agent Brendan Dillon wouldn't be a fit for the Devils. Regardless, a busy offseason lies ahead for New Jersey. Brendan Dillon, a guy on my list. My number one, by far, overall guy I would want in free agency is Zadorov. I just think he's an absolute specimen. nasty guy, crushes people, could chip in offensively. I just think he's a winner. I think he has that snarl, and I think he has that compete where he just wants to win. And I think that could be contagious on the team. But there are a lot of other defensemen I like as well. And again, I'll be talking about all this super in-depth on a free agency video I'll be doing in the next couple weeks. Brendan Dillon, a guy on my list as well. There's a lot of defensemen in free agency that would really help this team. And if we could somehow jettison off one or two defensemen, I think you guys know who. If we could get rid of those one or two guys and upgrade them in free agency, I think we're much better for it and could really be the difference going into the 24-25 season. And then I'm just going to touch on this next part of his article. Predators and no rush on Saros. Speaking of goalies, Nashville Predators GM Barry Trotz hopes to take Juusesaros' name out of trade rumors by signing him to an extension this summer. He can do that as of July 1, and the plan is to meet with Saros' agent Kevin Epp this week in Buffalo. Saros will be an unrestricted free agent in July 2025. Yeah, we're talking to Juice and talking to his representative, Trotz told The Athletic. I think they want to get something done. I would like to get something done, so we're going to work toward that. I haven't been in any hurry because I don't think there's any reason why I won't get it done. Of course, until it gets done, trade rumors will persist. And again, I just talked about GM speak. I do believe the Preds might try to sign him or will try to sign him because I do believe with the contract in place, if they don't do it this year, maybe next year they feel more comfortable with moving him and bumping Askarov from the minors to their starting role. A lot of people are super high on him. He had a great season, and they think he's ready to take over now, and so everyone thinks that they ultimately will cash in Saros for whatever assets they could get for him. But, you know, this could be GM speak. It could be Trotz full of shit. I just think that Saros, under a longer contract, would have much more value to them even next year in a trade versus trading him now when he could potentially only be a one-year rental for a team. So with a lot of that question mark, I think, you know, his value might not be what they would want it to be to move him. So maybe this is all part of the longer play. You know, they sign him to a long-term deal at something that's, for them, hopefully not crazy. And they kind of reassess again this year. If Askarov has another monster year, maybe after next season they look to trade Saros, who now has this term in place where he's under a team control, much more appealing to teams looking for a goalie at that point. And then they could bump the kid up to be their new starter. That'll be an interesting situation. But I never thought after the last couple times we heard Saros' name in the news that Fitzgerald was saying Trotz was looking for a king's ransom for him, and I just don't think that Fitz will allow himself to do it because there are other decent options out there that won't cost nearly as much. So it'll be super interesting to see how all of this goes. After taking in these quotes today, I am super excited. You guys know I was super down on Fitz all of last season because the hands were in the pockets, and he hoped and wished while our team got league worst goaltending and missed the playoffs, shattering our collective hearts. With that being said, right now he's saying the right things that I want to hear, which is good. And I am going to be optimistic until he gives me reason not to. And so you guys know, as the audience, I keep it 100 all the time. And so I am not going to have any more judgments for the most part until the summer is over. Let's see, heading up into the draft, what we do with this pick, if he finds a way to move it for assets that are win now guys, or if we draft a player with it. I really hope we don't. I've never been less interested in drafting with a pick than this year because I just know, like it was referred to in the article, that's a piece that helps us years from now. I don't give a shit about years from now. It is time to make some bold moves, push your chips in, and it is time to win now. Trade the pick. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. We've talked about this before, but do you think we should draft with the pick? If we do, who do you guys want us to draft? Let me know any guys that you're hoping we would pick with the pick. If you don't want us to draft with the pick, who do you think we should try to trade the pick for other than Brady? We all want Brady. Keep hope alive. And now we have confirmation that he's looking for a defenseman as well and a forward. And so buckle up, kids. Buckle up. Fitz is talking a lot of big game. He threw out the big game hunting, so let's see. It seems like he's going to be active. He's listening to calls on the number 10 pick. It seems as though he favors in trading the pick as opposed to using it. And so time will tell. We have a few weeks till the draft, and let's hope we get a deal done. But let me know anything Devils hockey in the comments. Playoffs, Cup finals, the bum Rangers losing, the draft pick guys, anything he said about the physicality, anything else. Throw it all out in the comments. I love talking to you all. I have a ton of stuff planned for the next couple of weeks. I'll be back a little more frequently as things pick up here and we start getting some juicy tidbits like this in the news. Love you all. Talk to you all soon. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.